What is up, enthusiasts? It is Cedar here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. Let's face it, the record-breaking Gerstlauer is probably going to Cedar Point. It's record-breaking, Cedar Fair works with Gerstlauer, they have a challenging plot of land, May of 2022, I'm a scorer, we get it. It's probably going to Cedar Point. Many coaster enthusiasts have came out with a video on what this ride could possibly be, and why Cedar Point. But today I want to focus more on where in Cedar Point could this coaster be, because let's face it, they said it themselves, Cedar Point is a challenging park to build a new coaster in if it's a brand new plot of land. I mean, something like Steel Vengeance was easy because that was a pre-existing coaster, but something like Valraven, you have to work with that. So, this is Cedar Flags, and today we will be answering the question, where could a Gerstlauer fit at Cedar Point? Before I get into the video, I just want to say that a very few of you are actually subscribed to my channel, only about a fifth of you. So if you haven't already, click that subscribe button and catch up on my videos. So first, before I go into any specific spots, I want to figure out what most Gerstlauers have in common. And by research, I figured out that most Gerstlauers have thin, long plots of land. They don't really have a square plot of land, but instead more of like a rectangle plot of land. And they also take up rather tiny plots of land, rather than a B&M which would take up a lot of land. I took 3 very notable Gerstlauer roller coasters that are very famous across the world. I got TMNT Shellraiser, which has the steepest drop, Smiler, which has the most inversions, and Karnan, which has the biggest layout for a Gerstlauer to date. First of all, you have TMNT Shellraiser, which is 130 by 500 feet. Then you have the Smiler, which is 150 feet by 370 feet. And then you have Karnan, which is 300 feet by 800 feet. So even though Karnan is much bigger than the other two, you could tell that these are very thin plots of land compared to something like a B&M, which would take up a massive plot. These are very compact coasters, and if they want to get extremely compact, they can. So let's look at some existing plots of land at Cedar Point that are similar to these dimensions. I have created 2 separate categories for each of these. My first category is coasters to replace. This is if the Gerstlauer will take the place of an existing coaster at the park, and the second is just simply other plots of land at the park that may or may not be occupied, but my first category is the coasters one. The first out of the 2 roller coasters I could see being removed for this attraction is Rougarou, the 1996 roller coaster at the park formerly known as Mantis. It was pretty popular back then, but over the years it continued to lose popularity, and now it's just a nuisance at the park. A lot of people forget about it, and even out of the 4 B&Ms, this one is the most forgettable. This is probably the biggest coaster at Cedar Point that doesn't make people's top 10. For me personally, this ride is very polarizing. I could either get a really good ride where my head isn't banging whatsoever, or I could get an absolutely brutal ride where my head is shaking from left to right the entire time. This ride doesn't get that much of a line, and in my opinion, if it closed, it probably wouldn't get that much hate from the industry as opposed to other more historic rides. Even rides before it like Raptor and Magnum still hold their place at the park, but I could see Rougarou biting the dust. A new Gerstlauer would fit absolutely incredible here. The plot of land is 200 by 850 feet, which would be very thin but around the dimensions of Karnan, and it would be very useful for Cedar Point standards. This would honestly be my favorite plot of land for a new ride because of how beautiful it is. The next ride I could see being removed is Wicked Twister, taking up a plot of 500 feet by 150 feet. A lot smaller than the Rougarou plot, but this is also counting the former spot of the stadium, holding the All Wheels Extreme show, and this is not popular at Cedar Point, let's face it. It's a very iconic ride, but at the same time, it doesn't get the ridership it should get when it would be at another park. If this was at another Cedar Fair park, I could see it getting some pretty good lines. A new roller coaster here would be great. It would be a headline attraction for the front of the park, and it would be a reason enthusiasts would want to go to the front in the first place. And let's just say that with this, there could be a brand new boardwalk theme. Think about this, they could retheme that whole area to the boardwalk, even more than it is already, and make this the highlight coaster of that area. The I'm a Score soundtrack could be a boardwalk surf theme, and this would be an absolutely incredible ride for an absolutely incredible area. I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. I truly feel like these two plots of land would be prime real estate for a brand new attraction. But at the same time, this could easily end up being in a brand new plot of land, which I will talk about right now. I have two more plots of land to talk about, but these two plots of land currently do not have a roller coaster, so the advantage of this would be that they can keep their existing rides and create a brand new attraction. The first out of the two plots of land I want to talk about are right in the front of the park. The first one is the Raptor Picnic Groves. Now these are picnic groves right beside the front of the park and in between Gatekeeper, Blue Streak, and Raptor. They take up a plot of land of 550 by 150 feet. Now, the reason I say that these should be removed and replaced with something new is because they have brand new picnic groves right by the boardwalk section of the park in between Wicked Twister and Hotel Breakers. These are very nice modern picnic groves, and these are definitely good replacements for definitely the outdated, old, and deteriorating Raptor picnic groves. A new coaster would be a great fit here, though it would probably take a while to get used to, but maybe that's just me. Though this has happened many times. In 2012, I thought, how could they put Gatekeeper there? In 2015, I thought, how could they put Valraven there? So, they could easily wow us once again by putting a new attraction in this area. It could be a standout attraction for the front of the park, but my one problem with this area is it would be surrounded by two other coasters that are mainly focused on inversions. So, if you had a Gerstlauer coaster that was focused on inversions in this area, it would render Gatekeeper and Raptor pretty weird. Not useless, but pretty inferior to the new brand state-of-the-art Gerstlauer right next to them. The final plot of land I want to talk about is the former spot of the Cedar's Hotel or the Cedar's Dorms, depending on what era you want to focus on. This was the oldest building at Cedar Point until it was torn down in the latter half of the 2010s, and now it is a flat sheet of land by the marina. Now, they could put a parking lot here, or they could do the more exciting option. They could put a brand new Gerstlauer in this spot easily. The plot of land is 350 by 250 feet, so it would definitely be more like the Smiler than anything else. It's a very compact piece of land, but it is less thin and more square-like. It's more square-like than any of these other plots of land, so Gerstlauer would have to work their magic. There wouldn't be a coaster like TMNT Shellraiser, but a ride more like the Smiler would be a good spot for this plot. Now, there is one problem with this plot of land, and that is that a road is separating it from the park. Now, they could easily change the plot of the road and put this in the park, but at the same time, they could also put a bridge or a tunnel over or under it and make this a completely new area. Knowing Cedar Point, they definitely like to go outside of the box, so they could do just about everything. But anyway, this is Cedar Flags. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now, I only came up with 4 reasonable plots of land I could see this ride coming. Now, there might be other plots of land if they dug into the parking lot, did something along those lines, but talking about the existing plots of land at the park, I could see them coming to these 4. Now, let me know if there are any spots I missed. Let me know if they could fit even better at some places. And let me know if you even think a Gerstlauer is coming to this park at all, because remember, it is not confirmed. And by the way, Ride Entertainment, I apologize I didn't read your whole thing. This is Cedar Flags, and I'll see you all later.